Hey gang, Scott Davenport here. I've got a quick tip for you today in Luminar 4 for color grading using the color enhancer tool in the professional group. This came out of an email chat I was having with Mark, a subscriber on the channel here. We were talking about night scenes and color grading options we have in Luminar. Thought I'd put together a quick video. So here's a scene I took years and years ago, and it's just a nice night scene, something you might typically take around evening time, going around town, and I've just applied a quick look to it. So this is all I've done to the photo, right? You know, before and after with the look. And I want to do some final color grading. I'll use an adjustment layer to do that, just to group my changes and tweaks away from my original look, keep them separate. So I'll add an adjustment layer here in the layers panel. And now I've got a new set of tools that I can apply. Before I get to the color grading, really quickly, I want to add a little bit of contrast to this scene. I think this needs a little bit more, maybe around there. You know, I get those blacks really, really deep. All right, now to the color grading itself. In the professional group, we have the color enhancer tool. And notice I have expanded the advanced settings, right? Normally the tool might look like this when you open it up. Hit that advanced settings button. So in here, we have tint controls for shadows, midtones, and highlights. It's almost like a version of split toning where you're just adjusting tints, but you can target it to shadows, midtones, and highlights. So this gives us a good amount of control here. And so for this night scene, I really want to take I think the blue's a little bit richer, kind of go in a bit of a reddish purplish tone, you know, somewhat of a twilight feel, but do that selectively throughout the scene. We'll start with the shadows, and we'll add just a touch of red. And I'm really going to be light on these adjustments. One thing with color grading, a lot of times less is more. And maybe also, let's see, taking the yellow blues a little toward blue. So I'm biasing the colors toward like a blue, purple, twilight kind of feel. Let's move into the midtones. And for the midtones, that's going to kind of be like these regions in and around here. I think magenta green will be a good one to play with. We've got some good magentas here. I'm going to pull this back really far so you can kind of see really what happens here, right? It's hitting those midtones, but like really bright parts, like the highlights here and here, they're not getting as affected, as well as the very deep shadows. They're not getting as affected. Now, let's get this into maybe a realm of something that's kind of pleasing to look at. Right around there looks good. And for the highlights. Now the highlights will be these very bright areas, the neon signs and so forth. We'll nudge those, again, a little toward the reds. And so I'll just push the cyan red tint about that far. So let's take a look at what we ended up with this bit of grading here. I'll turn off the color enhancer and turn it back on. And it's a subtle yet noticeable shift, giving this scene a little bit more of that nighttime feel. And this mainly is a good way to target different tints to the different tones in your image. You don't have to get involved too much at all, really, with the masking and other things you might do. You can, of course, apply masks and take this to another level if there's a more significant amount of grading you want to do in a certain area of the scene. But that's the basics of it. Hope you found the video interesting and useful. Got questions? Drop them below. And until next time, my name's Scott Davenport. Have fun.